Welcome everyone to the first episode of The Encore. I am your host Brandon Stubbs. You should be familiar with me from my work on punchtheface.com, thetitlefight.com, backculture.net, as well as Punch the Face Radio, voter for the Trans Boxing Ranking Board. What else? Soon to be host of MMA Hangouts with Dan Parks later this summer. So I'm a man about everything, but I stepped away from Punch the Face Radio and I needed some time away. But this is my introduction back. This is the Encore. This is a show that you're going to get here every few weeks here on YouTube. That's pretty much going to be my final take on pop culture topics. Not just MMA, as many are used to me talking about, or boxing, as many know me for doing. This is a little bit of everything. So this is the Encore. This is the final take I will have on trending topics out there in the universe. A first topic that I'm going to tackle that I got a lot of tweets on, and I'll actually have some more on this a little bit later, is the whole Caitlyn Jenner thing. As we all know by now, Bruce Jenner, now wants to be known as Caitlyn Jenner, has had surgery, has transformed himself into a woman. Did the big interview with Diane Sawyer. He's on the cover of one of those magazines. I want to say Vogue, Vanity Fair, something. One of those fooey, fancy magazines. As far as him turning into a woman, I could care less. That's his own prerogative. But one thing that's over the last few weeks that has gotten a lot of spin, a lot of buzz, is the fact that he is getting the Arthur Ashe Courage Award from ESPN when ESPN does their yearly show, the ESPYs. That'll happen here in July. So he is actually up for the Arthur Ashe Award. He's going to be awarded the award this year, which is for someone who displays courage in sports. I don't have beef with him as being a transgender. I do have beef with him winning this award for the simple fact of Bruce Jenner hasn't been really viable in sports in 30 years. So, him turning into a woman, I don't see how that's that big of a deal. If you're in West Hollywood, you have guys who dress as women all the time. They're not winning awards. So what does he get an award for? It's just kind of weird on that aspect because he hasn't done anything in sports, been relevant in sports in years, for that matter. So I think that was a little strange that they gave him this award. Now, he was an Olympic medalist. He was Wheaties box. He was a celebrated American hero. But that was a long, long time ago. That was, years ago. That was back in 1976. So we're talking, damn near 50 years ago. I mean, in all honesty, it really makes no sense how long ago that was, So I don't get that. So, whatever. So, ESPN needs to be taking the task for that. And I don't blame people for the backlash they're getting in that degree. So, that's just whack. That's just whack. As far as, Bruce becoming Caitlyn, whatever. His mama naming Bruce. I'm going to call him Bruce. That's what he's going to be known as far as I'm concerned. So, Caitlyn Bruce Jenner, good luck with that. But you shouldn't be winning the Arthur Ashe Courage Award. Another topic that is that's out there is the whole Rachel Dolezal, however you enunciate her name, the white lady who thinks she's black. I don't really have that big of a issue with this. How often have we seen other people embrace the urban culture, hang out with black people, talk like black people, and not really do anything to help black people out per se? She was actually a part of the NCAA chapter in Washington where she lived at and was attempting to help out the culture and trying to help out black people. And then she gets thrown on the bus because, she might have lied on some applications or stretched the truth in regards to her background and her ancestry. But at the end of the day, she's actually trying to help people out. Whether you're black or white, I could care less as long as you're trying to help out your fellow man. So I don't really get what the big deal is. So what, she identifies herself as black. I know black people who don't identify themselves as black. They say they're multicultural. So, I think it's kind of harsh and unnecessary for people to throw her under the bus like they've done over the last week. Leave the lady alone. If she thinks she's black, let her be black. If she's not taking any money out of your pocket, stealing food out of your kid's mouth, leave her be. in this case, because she's really not harming anyone. At the end of the day, she knows what she is. She has to look at herself in the mirror, and if she likes what she sees, then so be it. But I don't think she's actually doing anything to hurt anyone or quote-unquote hurt the culture. So, Rachel, you get a pass as far as I'm concerned. I'll treat you to ribs if you're ever out here in Kansas City. Another topic I want to touch on. Let's kind of get here to sports here. Over the weekend, Sergio Martinez announced his formal retirement from boxing. Now, Sergio Martinez he's probably not going to get the respect he deserves in regards to how actually great he was as a fighter. Sergio Martinez was a damn solid fighter. Granted, we're going to look at him as the last couple of years of his career. He's really only had one good leg after tearing his ACL in a fight with Julio Cesar Chavez back in 2012. So, he never really, the leg never really healed from that. And you could tell that he had issues. He was getting old and he was breaking down. He's got into the sport of boxing at a later stage and really didn't become the prominent star until his mid to late 30s. He didn't start getting the big fights until he was in his late 30s. But, we're going to remember him for his fantastic knockout win over Paul the Punisher Williams in their second bout. Maybe one of the greatest knockouts I've seen, and I can honestly say over the last 10 years, it's going to rank definitely up there as far as big fights go. He was a lineal middleweight champion of the world. The last time we saw him, though, he did lose that lineal title to Miguel Cotto here actually a year ago around this time last year in New York. But, his body, it gave out on him. Unfortunately, he didn't hit the big time until he was too old, for that matter. But he was a hell of an athlete, great fighter, always put on entertaining bouts, great knockout artist, and actually a better boxer than I think he'll get credit for. He was really good at counterpunching, but, he let his athleticism carry him throughout his career, and that's what helped make Sergio Martinez great. And I just want to tip my hat to Sergio, say thank you for putting your body on the line throughout all these years, throughout your career, your 10 plus years in the boxing game. We want to thank you for that, for doing that and entertaining us fans. And it was a joy to watch you perform, and I wish you the best of luck in all of your future endeavors, and hopefully you stay in the sport of boxing and continue to pass on knowledge that you have on to someone else. So definitely big shout out to Sergio Martinez. Another boxing subject I want to get on is Premier Championship Boxing, aka pointless boxing cards. Typically I don't trash stuff, but in this case I gotta trash Premier Boxing Champions because, quite honestly, they're putting on fights that make no sense, that are pointless and are unentertaining. Shout out to Al Heyman because he's getting these guys paid, but these guys are fighting fights that no one really... They really don't do anything for the fighters, per se. Now, let's take, for example, the upcoming bout they have between Showtime Sean Porter and Adrian Lee Problem Broner. Now, granted, these are two men with names. Porter's... I don't want to say coming back on the comeback trail, but he's lost against Kell Brook, lost his belt, so he's had a fight since then, trying to get back into it and kind of upper echelons there within the light welterweight division, so between 140 147. For Broner's just trying to continue to be the ignorant SOB that he is and quote unquote entertain and be an entertainer and a boxer and whatever. But these two guys are fighting in what's called quote unquote the Battle of Ohio. But the fight's in Nevada. I don't understand the correlation of that. So that in itself makes no sense. The fight will be on NBC. It'll be on prime time. But what does it do for the winner? Neither one of these guys are in the front running to be in a Floyd Mayweather fight and get that major payday. Neither guy really seems... set to challenge anyone else for any other belts. They won't fight anyone from any other promotional company, aka Top Rank Boxing. So, what does it really do for the winner? Nothing. What does it do for the loser? Really nothing. Because they're still going to be able to get a main event fight on another one of these Premier Boxing Championship platforms, whether it be CBS, Spike TV, ESPN, NBC, or even get streamed somewhere. So, this fight's pretty pointless. It could be a competitive fight, but at the end of the day, the winner's still going to be kind of the position they're in going into the fight. The loser may be a notch below, but they're really not going to be completely out of the conversation for anything. But this is what these Al Haymon cards are doing. A couple of weeks ago, we had Robert Guerrero fighting in the middle of the daytime in California at the StubHub Center out there in Carson, and it was, it couldn't even sell out. The arena was maybe, I'll be generous and say 40% full. And he was fighting a guy that he probably had no business fighting, whose name I can't even remember now. And in the fight, I honestly thought Guerrero lost. He got knocked down. Not good. Not good. Again, more pointless cards. But this is what Al Haymon is doing, and this is what he's feeding to us. We had a quote-unquote showcase bout for Amir Khan a couple of weeks ago against Chris Algieri. Amir Khan struggled in that fight. Let's just call it what it is. But, again, it was a quote-unquote showcase fight. He now thinks he's going to get a Floyd Mayweather fight off of that. He may, because he did get exposed and looked very vulnerable in that fight. But, again, these Premier Championship boxing cards are not... They're not good. Let me just call it what it is. Granted, yes, I know a lot of people are excited because, yes, it's free boxing on television. But it's crappy boxing on television. So, how is that in the long run helping the sport? Yes, indeed, these fighters are getting paid well. They're making six figures plus in these bouts. But if this is the product that you want to put out to the mass public, and you want boxing to be the number one combat sport over mixed martial arts, it's probably not going to happen with some of these Premier Championship boxing cards. Case in point, we'll have Paulie Malignaggi versus Danny Garcia here later this summer. Another completely pointless fight. Danny Garcia is going to move up in weight to 147 pounds. He's relinquished his lightweight championship belts. Excuse me, his junior welterweight belts, the 140-pound belts. So he's relinquished some of those. Paulie Malignaggi has pillow hands that are quite fragile. He looked washed the last time we seen him fighting Sean Porter. He looked bad in that fight. If Sean Porter can make him look bad, Danny Garcia is probably going to embarrass him, may even knock him out, possibly. Paulie is a durable guy, but it's a pointless fight. I mean, again, if you're going to step up in competition, step up against actual competition. Not guys who are part-time fighters, part-time color commentators for boxing. Not a good look, Danny Garcia. Not a good look. But I digress. Speaking of looks, Cleveland Cavaliers look like they are on the verge of a title elimination. Obviously, we're recording this before Game 6, but I will say that they look tired. They look like a beaten team. They look like a defeated team. Underhand, undermanned. That's going to definitely play in the part if they were to lose this, and you do have to tip your cap to LeBron James. LeBron's playing like an absolute monster, but unfortunately that monster is not enough to beat an actual team. But on the subject of LeBron James, the subject matter keeps coming up here, and it's growing more and more, especially now with these finals and the way he's performed throughout the playoffs. Is LeBron James better than Michael Jordan? And the distinct answer to that is no. I know people are going to say, well, Michael Jordan has Scottie Pippen. He had another great beside him. Well, I hate to tell people this, and I don't know if they realize this with LeBron James. A lot of people say with LeBron James, well, he's got all these different tools that no other basketball player has had. We've never seen a basketball player his size with ball handling like that. We actually have. It was known as Anthony Hardaway and Magic Johnson. Both guys over 6 feet tall. Both had extremely great ball handling skills and extremely good court vision. I think people fail to realize how great Magic was. I think people fail to realize how great Anthony Hardaway was prior to his knee injuries. Obviously those last couple of years with the Knicks and with the Phoenix Suns was a shell of himself, but his Orlando days, the guy was a baller. And I think people fail to realize that. So when people say, oh, we haven't seen that, we have. When people say, we haven't seen someone with that size be able to back down people in the post, well, actually we have. It was known as Karl Malone and Charles Barkley. I can go back that recent. Because actually Charles is shorter than LeBron, was great in the post. Karl Malone's about the same size as LeBron, both height and weight-wise. He could dominate people in the post. So, again, granted, yes, he may not have had those two guys might have the ball handling skills of LeBron, but can still do the same thing. And the main thing that I say where LeBron James is not better than Jordan, and maybe even Kobe from that matter, is he lacks killer instinct. I don't think LeBron James would physically punch his mother in the face for an NBA championship. I legitimately think Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan would. I think they will do whatever it took to win. LeBron does not take me as that kind of person. He doesn't lack that killer instinct to go out and make people look bad. He doesn't want to do that. I don't think he lacks that, and with him lacking that, that's what lacks him from the greats. If you think about all the great champions that have been in the NBA, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, just kind of naming, a few. All of those guys have one thing in common. They have a killer instinct. They will go out and they will try to put the dagger in their opponent. And one thing I noticed, especially in Game 5, Steph Curry kind of has that dagger in him that LeBron lacks. Now, LeBron is kind of, he shows moments of it, but not consistently. That's what stops him from being a great. Now, if he wins more championships than Jordan in the long run, you can make that argument. He's still not going to be the greatest champion ever because, hell, that's Bill Russell, and I think you young bucks don't know anything about Bill Russell. Do your research. Bill Russell was great. But I digress, but that's my NBA take. We'll have more here on future episodes of the Encore in regards to after the finals is over and talk about the NBA draft, because this is what the show's all about. Show's about everything, pop culture, sports, and music. Speaking of music, make sure you go pick up the new Troy Ave album. Love the album. Great work. But here's my favorite part of the show. This part of the show is going to be known as Ask Brandon. Now, I've noticed on Twitter there's also another person out there who has an hashtag Ask Brandon. Well, I don't know who that is, and if I ever see him, I'll kick him in his face. But that's neither here nor there. This segment is for my Twitter and Facebook users, and even people via email, to send me their ignorant questions, because some of these I've gotten over the last couple of weeks when I said I was going to do the show has been quite ignorant. So this part of the show is Ask Brandon. This is where you'll be able to submit your questions to me on Twitter at punch_the_2the_face. And as well, if you're a Facebook friend, you know how to message me there. Send me your questions, hashtag it Ask Brandon, and I'll answer them here on the show. So with that being stated, one of the questions I got asked here on Ask Brandon was, who would win in a fist fight, Caitlyn Jenner or Ann Wolfe? Now, if you're not familiar with who Ann Wolfe is an actual former female boxing champion. She was also a boxing trainer, trained middleweight or junior, mid-junior middleweight or whatever weight class he's in, James Kirkland. She's most notably known for being his trainer and pretty much putting him through slave labor through camps to get him prepared for his fights. But Ann Wolfe was also a pretty devastating puncher in her own right as a professional boxer. So someone asked me, would Caitlyn Jenner be able to beat Ann Wolfe in a fist fight? And the answer to that is no. Granted, Caitlyn Jenner is Bruce Jenner, which is a guy, but keep in mind he's also like 60 or 50 something. So no, he's old. And Ann Wolfe is actually a professional boxer. I've seen her literally like punch holes through women. No, that'd be a hate crime. Ann Wolfe would destroy Caitlyn Jenner. That's not cool. But this shows you the caliber of ignorant questions I get asked. So I'm not going to shout out that person because that one was a wild question that I got asked here on Ask Brandon. Another question I've gotten asked is, after Mauricio Verdum won here at UFC 188, could he be considered the GOAT, or the greatest of all times as far as heavyweight fighters go? When you really look at his numbers, it's hard not to say he may not be. He owns victories over Fedor Emelianenko, Cain Velasquez, Big Nog Nogueira, Alistair Overeem. He's won some fights over some very notable fighters. And the thing is, if he's able to pick up a victory over Junior Dos Santos, a guy who actually has beaten him, you really have to start looking at this and saying, okay, maybe he is. He looked excellent at UFC 188. So we shall see where he goes from there. But those are the Ask Brandon questions here for this week. Again, the Encore will be happening here every other week on YouTube. Make sure you tweet your questions to me at punch_the_2the_face. As well, you can email them at brandon@punchtotheface.com. You can also, if you're a Facebook friend, find me on Facebook, Brandon Stubbs. I'm really not hard to find, but I am hard to find. You'll figure that out. Otherwise than that, be safe, be blessed, and I'm out.